To understand the issues with digital ID is to understand that when you have the internet in general to be de-anonymized to where you have to show your face, you will destroy every bit of creativity on the internet. Part of the reason why the internet is so unique is because of anonymous people online. People are more likely to be open to express themselves more, knowing that it won't be judged as much. The thing that's what I hate the most is that only people who are really pushing this the most are conservatives. People like to think that conservatives are someone that like free speech and all that, but in reality, they want you to say their speech. They're just as bad, if not worse, if it comes to free speech than liberals. Liberals understand why you need to have anonymous internet because they can't they can't talk about the degenerate shit with their face or name attached to it usually if it's too degenerate. They understand that. It's sort of that kind of thing where the mutually assured destruction of them if they had a de-anonymized internet would fuck them over so badly it would be incomprehensible. But what people don't understand with the state of the internet now, where more and more countries are trying to pass laws where they're trying to use porn as a way to justify them trying to de-anonymize the internet. The problem is you're seeing like Discord trying to do that and they get hacked and everyone's personal information, including social security numbers possibly. And I mean, I don't think the other countries have social security numbers. I'm not sure. But when you have all that going on, you're just going to have people lose their data and have their data being stolen by bad actors. And what gets to me is that the only people you can really blame for this are conservatives. Like they're the only group you have to blame. People like to say that the left is doing it too, but not really. They know if they do that, they'd be fucked over so badly. Now the right is willing to do that because they don't want you to have free speech either. They want you to give more money to Israel. You cannot criticize Israel. I give you a perfect example of a country that's 100% zogged, and that's Russia. In Russia, you can't really be anonymous on the internet. You know why so many people use Telegram on Russia? Because it's the only few websites you can use in Russia that won't outright show your personal information. But even then, the owner of Telegram gives their information to the FSB because he's part of the Russian Kremlin. And it's funny because the way the laws work in Russia, they're one of the most biggest distribution of CSAM because there's no laws against owning or distributing or creating CSAM materials. It's like the very few countries where CSAM, and that stands for child sexual material, it's not exactly like that, but you know what I mean, just messed up videos of kids getting hurt. In Russia, that's completely illegal. And it's the reason why so many of that stuff usually comes from Telegram because it's usually distributed by Russia. They have a massive industry, well, black market industry, to where they have it in Russia, but then they distribute it around the world. And this is the state of like going to be the internet. People like to say this de-anonymization will make people behave more, but in reality, it won't. Russia and China are perfect examples. Russia, you can't be anonymous on the internet. You have to have your real name, your real ID. You have to do all that. You can't really post anything anonymous. There's not really anonymous internet on there. Same thing with China. China, there's the Great Firewall of China. Most stuff is blocked there. They have a culture to where you can't be anonymous. You can't say what you want to say. You can even tell by their language. They don't have words that we have in English where it kind of express yourself. That's the reason why people like to call them insects because they don't have individuality, no freedom. They're a culture of no freedom. And if you look at the internet there and in Russia, the worst stuff comes from Russia and China. And they have zero anonymity. They have zero chance of being anonymous for individuals. You have to have your name. So what they do? Well, the most fucked up videos ever comes from Russia. The most fucked up videos come from China. I think most of the animal torture videos tend to come from Asia, particularly China, because why would they care? They have no animal cruelty laws there. In China, you can torture animals and there's no laws against it. In Russia, there's no laws against distributing or creating content that involves children. So you see a massive influx of that going on in Russia. And you can say, well, we have laws here in the West like that to protect animals and kids. Well, the problem is the way their internet is set up, they're not going to do anything because when you have everybody's name out there, it's going to be very hard to track individual people down. Now these days, like the darknet, it's kind of a dead term. People just use Telegram, or some people just hide stuff in plain sight. There's like Instagram accounts that show what do they call it, like photography. It's like some weird photo stuff that carries data within the photo itself, and it's supposed to hide like secret videos and images from links, and they do it in plain sight because they know that the internet, when it's getting more censorious, they can be open about their situation. When it comes to, well, not situation, but you know how I put it, their degeneracy. They know they can get away with it, and no law enforcement can do anything about it because if you bully them, you will be banned from the platform. You'd be shocked when I was on TikTok how many times I found like some weird fucking weirdo on there, and you just go in the rabbit hole, just going into their account, and you go into the followers they follow, and you realize, holy shit, these people are just hiding it in the open, and you can't do anything about it. I mean, it's just YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, all of them are more worried about hate speech. They're not worried about kids. This is one thing that these conservatives don't understand. And some of these conservatives believe this shit. Look at South Korea. Their birth rate has gone so low, it's one of the lowest on the planet. You know, there, pornography is completely banned. It's illegal. You can't be anonymous on the internet. If you own pornography, you'd be labeled as a sex offender. Like, you'd be labeled as a sex offender and no different from a pedophile, and you won't be able to get a job for the next decade. The age of consent there is also 21. Their birth rate is fucked. Completely fucked. And people think, oh, this will help stop degeneracy and stop weirdos. And it's like, no, that's not true. South Korea is the perfect example. They do all the stuff that the conservatives love. And not only does it not stop degeneracy, it makes it where men and women just hate each other. And I mean hate each other. There is, like, because, you know, both men and women work there, they hate each other. And it's like, what are these people thinking? It's like, what's getting to me, knowing that once the internet becomes de-anonymized all over, the internet won't be the same. Like, I mean, the internet won't be the same at all. It'll be no different from watching cable. It's kind of getting that way now, since, you know, everything's run by algorithm and it's run by slop. Like, I legitimately have to use, like, ad block on YouTube. I have to use ad block on my TV. I use ad block on my PC with my browser on my PC, where I use extensions. And you can say, well, what happens to the creator? Well, the problem is, it's not the creator's fault that the ads are shit. The problem is that the Google, it's very, very lax when it comes to ads. I've seen like tweets of people saying, yeah, I'm getting bedtime reminders. I'm getting algorithm adjustments because it thinks I'm a kid. And it's like, and then you see like these thumbnails of like these, how put it? The thumbnails of like women in scantily clad shit in shorts. It's like an ad, and it shows something about pornography. And you can see these in like kids' videos. You'd be like watching a kids' video, and you just scroll one by, and you just see a fucking ass. Some of it is like showing like hardcore stuff. I've seen like these thumbnails, like, what the fuck is this? So yeah, this concept of them trying to protect the kids. No, it's just they're trying to censor you. The conservatives are trying to censor you. They don't care anything about free speech. They hate free speech, actually. They want you to give more money to Israel. They want you to support more wars for Trump. You can't question him in his authority. Israel is, quote unquote, our greatest allies, even though they spit on Christians all the time. They see us as cattle. And we make the third world hate us to where they come over here and it's like, well, the rest of the world has to deal with our tyranny. And you wonder, why do these third world countries come over here and they shit on us so much and they don't respect our culture? Well, because we kind of treat them all like shit because of Israel. I'm talking about Middle Easterners. Hispanics, they clearly don't want to learn English and clearly don't want to assimilate because they hate America. I recommend them just nuking them because that would fit their country. Like we did that to Japan and they become bitchified. They're better off though. They probably would have been like North Korea if we didn't done that. Yeah, the internet's fucked. I may do a live stream in about maybe an hour. I'm going to talk about the newest situation with Kiwi Farms, how they got hacked. I think it's funny how Noel is so stupid if it comes to basic coding that he can't even keep basic exploits gone from his website. You know, he doesn't know basic coding, and he's begging people to give him checks so he can keep his website up because he's a fucking idiot. That's all I have. See ya.